Hello, Gary Kiesler here, and it is July the 10th, Wednesday night, 2024. I just saw this neat video by Amir Sfardi, and I'm going to put that link in my subject line along with some of my videos that go along with the same things he's talking about. But in here he talks about where he believes the Antichrist will come from based upon the situation that the Bible predicts and that we're seeing in the world today. I said in one of my videos that only by looking at what's happening, in world events, can we really be in a time where Jesus said to watch and to be prepared. So he goes into that a little bit too, and so we'll talk about that pretty quick. I did a lot of videos on why fornication will be the sin of the last days, and of course that's what's going on all over the world, but America is the leader of that, and we produce all the porn and all the crummy stuff, or at least we started off with that and still do. Everything in America is eye candy. So when the Seventh World Empire comes in, that'll be an empire with a religion of fornication. Now that's a transitional empire between the World War III that starts. That's the winner of the World War III. They'll have a Seventh World Empire that the Bible says will last a short time in Revelation 17, followed by the Eighth World Empire predicted in Daniel 9:27, where he says there'll be a 7-year covenant, and in the middle of the 7 years, this Antichrist person will break the covenant, and then Israel will be in trouble, and we can see the trouble that Israel's going through in Isaiah chapter 57, how Israel wants to get out of it, but they're really kind of in a jam. So we can see those kind of things. Look at some of my previous videos. I'll put all of those links in the subject line, and let's go take a look at this chart I made up real quick just to show the last days and what is the short version of what's going to be happening there. So let's go to there, and this is it. It says at the top, the beginning of sorrows, Matthew 24 verse 8. And when these things begin to happen, Jesus says, look up, for your redemption draweth nigh. In other words, you'll be redeemed, brought to God, taken out of this situation, and that's in Luke 21:28, and it says in Luke 21:35, 21:35 and 36, that a snare will come on the whole world. That's World War III, the nations rising against nations, Matthew 24:7. Snare will come on all the world, but we can be accounted worthy to escape if we are watching and keeping a good relationship with God, and we'll stand, it says, in the presence of the Son of Man while all this other stuff is going on, and we can see ourselves in Revelation chapter 19 with all the other people from the age of grace that are at the wedding feast of the Lamb. Okay, so let's look at the chart. Look at the far left-hand side. It says rapture. So the rapture is the first thing to happen. People say, well, where do you see that? Well, the Bible doesn't say rapture, but it says taking out, and it also says, Jesus says several times in the same instantaneous taking, he says he will be revealed as lightning comes from the east to the west. So that's the rapture. We see that in Matthew 24:27, and Matthew 24:27 is a picture of the spiritual aspects of the things that happened physically on the earth in Matthew 24 verse 7, starting with the war all the way through the tribulation and the Antichrist and the sign of his coming in verse 26. So Matthew 24:27 to 31 is a spiritual aspect of Matthew 24 verse 7 to verses 26. Covers a lot of the same things from the spiritual view. So we have the rapture, Matthew 24:27. We have the war that breaks out in Matthew 24:7 on the physical side. Of course, the beginning of sorrows, Matthew 24:8 is the next verse. And we see after World War III, there's a transitional government that comes in. The winner of World War III gets to be the leader of the Seventh World Empire from Revelation chapter 17. We see the seventh kingdom rises, Revelation 17, 1 to 11. It's called the Great Whore because it's going to have a religious aspect of fornication tied up to it. Revelation 17 says it's going to last a short space, and it says that this is a point when remaining believers will be killed at this time by this religion that hates, the true religion. Then we see a transition where that empire is taken over by the Revelation 13:1, Daniel 27 verse 9 verses, and the eighth kingdom rises, which is two parts, 3.5 years each, and that's in Revelation 13:5. It says 42 months for the first beast, and then another 3.5 years plus or minus for the second beast, close to that. So we see that Revelation 13:1 talks about 10 horns, and Daniel, that's the first 3.5 years. 144,000 are sealed at the beginning of that. First beast rising up, and that is the false prophet, and then the Antichrist follows that, and so during that first 3.5 year period, 144,000 are martyred, and we see that in Revelation 7 down around verse 12. It talks about all those that were martyred or seen in the throne room with white robes that they have earned, and so they're all killed by the middle, where you see the 144,000 killed column. By the middle of the 7 years, the martyrs are all dead, and those that followed and believed in Jesus during that time, they're all killed in that period. And so then the only ones left on the earth are the ones that are redeemed by God in Revelation chapter 12 and taken out and taken to a place of safety, and everyone else who takes the mark of the beast. So we see the first 3.5 years of 10 horns, Revelation 13:1. Then Revelation 13:11, the second 3.5 years, and a little horn from Daniel 7 and 8 gets in a fight with 3 horns and takes them down to 7 horns. So it's really 8 horns with the little horn included now. So, and that is the true Antichrist living, Satan living in the body of a man. So that's Satan actually getting ready to be cast into the lake of fire. So not a lake of fire, but actually put in chains till the end of the millennium. So we see under the last 3.5 years is one world religion. It's the abomination of desolation that brings us in the middle of the 3.5 years, which we also see in Matthew 24:15. Talks about that exact same. 24:16, it talks about 1/3 of Israel fleeing, taken to a place of safety, and that's where it comes into comes into Revelation chapter 12, where Satan is persecuting, the land that gave birth to the Messiah, and then the woman fled. That's Revelation 12:6. That's also Matthew 24:16. Judea flees, and then everybody else on the earth willingly follows the beast, and then everyone except those that are, been spared. That's also in Zechariah 13:8 and 9. Those are the ones that are spared through the wrath of God, and everyone else will receive the mark of the beast. When Jesus returns for the millennium, of course, he will find those that were spared, those that fled in Matthew 24:16, still on the earth. So there's the need for the dead in Christ to rise first, and those which are alive will come to meet him in the air. That's different as from what we talked about, as where it says up top, where it says in Luke 21:36, that we could be worthy to escape all these things and stand before the Son of Man. Two different scenarios. Escaping and standing where the Son of the Man is different from them being taken up and meeting him in the air when he's coming. They're taken up and meeting with him in the air so they can be changed to have their eternal bodies, where those who've already escaped have already been changed and stand in the presence of Jesus. And at Revelation 19, where it talks about the wedding feast of the Lamb and all those from the age of grace who are there. So these are different ages, but it also is very clear about how this works out. So that's the period we're coming into. We're coming into this period because of Jesus saying to watch the things that are coming on this earth. We can be aware of this because of world events. The NATO summit they're having right now with Joe Biden over in Europe, and him saying, that NATO is going to stand together. No NATO member is going to give up an inch of ground, and they're very seriously considering bringing the Ukraine into NATO. And of course, Vladimir Putin has said if Ukraine goes into NATO, he's going to go to war. He's just going to bomb everybody. He's already said that it's going to become a nuclear thing with them. And so he's already threatened us and warned us, and yet they're still growing in this area. Israel, of course, was attacked October 7th and invaded, and so it's responding to Hamas, now and taking out the terrorists. So it's increasing its war. So as Jesus says, watch, and you see as these things starting to unravel, get ready, because we should lift up our head, for our redemption draws nigh. So I did a good video on fornication, and I'm going to do a better one about how to fight lust in our lives and what it really is. It's the same lust that Satan had, that Nimrod had, and that the Antichrist has. It's covetousness. And the rich ruler that came before Jesus and said he didn't have any sin, but yet he coveted money. So we see the same sin, that the lust or covetousness of the world, that is what we have to watch out for. Anyway, I'll do something on that later on, but this is just to let everybody know that we're in a very serious time when this snare could come quickly on the earth, and may go as far as next fall's feast, Sukkot, or the Feast of Trumpets in October. So, but still, it's time to be, drawing close to God, as in Matthew 24:44, and the good servant, giving meat to the household of faith, as to the ones who say it's not going to happen because all this stuff is past and things are looking good. And, it may look good in America because we have very limited media coverage of all these things. That's why I'm going to show you a little clip from Amir Sfardi, and his name is spelled Tsarfati, and I'm going to put the link to this video in my subject line with some of my videos, and I'm going to play just a little blurb of this. It's really good. It covers Europe. It covers, Hamas's thinking, some of what the mullahs are saying about how only Allah can judge rightly. Anyway, so I'm going to share this little clip with you, and then I'll let you go. So let me see if I can get over to this guy. I did it wrong. I did it exactly wrong last time, so we can see if I can do it exactly right this time. Okay, I've got to move my microphone, so give me just a second to do that so you get a better sound quality coming through on this. And here we go. Well, that didn't work very good. Oh, come on, there we go.
There you go. If you come against the revelation of Allah, then we say no democracy. So they're using democracy to have freedom of speech, to bring whatever they brought from their original countries, and to eventually take democracy from democracy-loving countries and bring about their own thing. This is what Europe is dealing with. And let me tell you this, folks. I personally believe that the Antichrist is going to rise from Europe, and I believe that it's not going to be a Muslim. I think that what's going on with the Muslims is going to take the Europeans to the streets eventually to look for a deliverer, for some leader that will bring an end to what this phenomena is going to do to Europe. So what we're seeing now is the catalyst eventually to the rise of the Antichrist, which should, by the way, not surprise any of us, but also maybe even encourage us, because he cannot show his true face. He cannot emerge before we are out of here. Remember,
last week
I told
going
you
back
about
to
Turkish-Arab tension.
go back this, and it's a good video. You should go there and take a look at that. I'll put the link in there. It's called the Mideast Update by Amir Sfardi, Tsarfati, and he's also on Telegram. I'll tell you about that in his video, but I would follow him on Telegram because he puts out a lot more information there, and it may even be something that would really draw our attention when tensions are such that the big shooting is ready to begin. Something to think about. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope it helped you out. Look for more videos coming. Maybe not real soon, but they'll be as prurient as possible. All right. Hope I get to see you up there if I never meet you down here. God bless.